Welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And today we are going to be going over one of our board game breakdowns. And this is a special topic specifically for me because this has been something I've been obsessing over for a number of years, as you know, as I can speak well, goodly, yes. Daniel, as you know, this is kind of one of the bases that I base my game collection on.
Yep, that's why I threw you a bone.
So what we're talking about is we're going to be talking about Spiel des Jahres winners. So the Spiel des Jahres is a German game award. It has been going since 1979, and every year they award this game, or they award an annual award to the best family board game. They've since had a couple of offshoots of it. They have one called the Kinderspiel, which is essentially the kids' game of the year, as well as the Kennerspiel, which is like the advanced game of the year.
The better award, in my opinion.
Yeah, Daniel, we already know loves the Kennerspiel. Now, if it's nominated for the Kennerspiel, he's probably all over it. Owning a couple so far,
let's
right?
See. I own Cartographers, which was this year's Kinderspiel nominee.
Uh-huh.
I just put in basically a pre-order for The Crew, so I should be getting that sometime this year. In fact, in a couple weeks. And then I've been looking at The King's Dilemma, which is the third nominee for this year.
And then you already had Wingspan, and you've played a few others, right?
Over there. Huh?
You already played a few of the other Kennerspiels, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we looked into it. I own 3, technically, Kinderspiels. I don't own this year's winner, so...
Yeah, because we don't know what it is. But you
exactly.
You might already own it. We will find out.
We're going to own it soon.
Yeah, we're going to own it soon, exactly. So, I mean, from what it seems, we could speculate all we want. But we wanted to do this episode because the Spiel des Jahres for 2020 has just been announced. And so there was a couple games that we'll get into much after this. But that means that we have about 41 games to go over. Or really about 40 games to go over. I own all but 3 of them. Or no, all but 5. 5 I'm missing.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and I've played almost every single one of them. So as we go through, I'll talk about it a little bit, how it works, and then we'll go to Daniel and get his reaction, and then we'll just have a discussion about it.
Okay, so just a quick description for everybody. This is off Board Game Geek. The Spiel des Jahres is the game of the year, the most prestigious award for board and card games. It's awarded annually by a jury of German game critics. Since 1989, the Kinderspiel des Jahres, Children Game of the Year, has also been annually awarded. So just let everybody know that this is voted on by German game critics. And there is a caveat for the Spiel des Jahres that the game has to be printed in German for it to be nominated.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I don't think Horrified, even though it's from a German company, I think it would have.
Yeah.
All right, well, with that being said, let me just get the windows ready. So I have the website. I don't speak German, but I do have it here. You can see the nominees. This is the logo that you'll be looking for on a lot of these games. They do have to license that logo, of course. But that's how they mainly make their money and get their jury, so that way they can vote for the winners. And this is going to be, every single one of these games has won for their corresponding year. So, Daniel, are you ready?
I'm ready to get this long deep dive.
I'm hoping. What are you looking forward to this? Like, do you think you're gonna find a couple games that you had never heard of, and you're like, wait, wow, okay, that sounds kind of interesting?
I doubt it, because the only games of the Spiel des Jahres I haven't played is the ones you don't own that I can think of off the top of my head. There might be more, because we can't really do a top 8 debate, but yeah, I at least know a lot of them, because you own most of them.
Well, just because I own them doesn't mean that you know how to play them, though. And I think you're going to be surprised.
No, but you talk about them ad nauseum, so...
All right, then I'll ask you what you know about them then, and I'll clarify as needed. Let's go in. We're going to go this chronologically from 1979. The winner of that year's was Tortoise and Hare. Or Hare and Tortoise, sorry. It was re-implemented into a game called Around the World in 80 Days. And that's the version I have.
Re-implementation?
Yeah, it was. So the original version is just really expensive to buy. Effectively, this is a race game. You're trying to be the first to get to the end, but you have to have it with almost no money or carrots as they are in this game. The way it works is that the farther you want to go, the more exponentially it costs. So like if you want to move one space, it costs 1 carrot. 2 spaces, it's going to cost 3. 3 spaces, it's going to cost 6. Up until I think like something like 255 carrots or something. You can move like 20 spaces, some weird factorial number. But it's an economic game, and what you can do is you can instead of moving forward, the spaces that you land on will give you benefits, either ways to get more carrots or move to other spots depending on what positioning you're in, or you can move backwards to get 10 carrots for, or get carrots for every space you move backwards. So if I move backwards 5 spaces, I get 50 carrots, which I can use then to try and outrace everybody. It's heavily strategic. There's not really much random in it, but it's a really interesting like money management style game. How does that sound to you?
Nah, it sounds pretty good. You've been wanting me to try Around the World in 80 Days, so I haven't yet, but
Yeah. I was a bit surprised by it. I bought it mainly just because I wanted to have it for the collection. But you see right here, like on this spot, you're just going around the board. And then here, if I land on like the 3, if I'm in the 3rd place, I get bonus carrots. So it's a simple idea, but just because of the fact that it's a very tight economic game and how you position yourself really matters to other people, it's really neat. I like it a lot.
interesting note about this is the German translation of this game is actually Hare and Hedgehog.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to.
So again, this is an older game. 1979 was Spiel des Jahres was its only nomination or award for Hare and Tortoise.
Yeah, the only one, and it was made in 1978. But I think that's why they did that. And you'll
Yeah.
notice a few of the first years, there was games from quite a bit older, which is a little different. Next one, Rummikub or Rummikub. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. This one in 1980, and this was printed in 1977. Have you played Gin Rummy, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually own Rummikub, but I can't play it.
Oh, okay. So you've actually played, you've played Rummy anyway, or
Yeah.
you get the idea. I'm guessing it's the colors that
Yep.
make it impossible. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of suffer from the same thing. I have an older one, and the colors have like darkened and faded in a way where it's actually visible.
In fact, if you look at the third picture, that's the version I own.
The third picture. Oh, yeah. So I will pull that up here in a bit. But yeah, basically the idea is you're trying to play cards in either a run or a set and score them for points. That's effectively it. It's basically a deck of cards. The different colors are the different suits.
So the game is based on the traditional Middle Eastern game of OK, first created in 1930 and sold in hand-produced versions until the late 1970s.
Yep. So I like it quite a bit. I mean, but I've grew up on classic card games. All right, on to the next one.
But if I remember correctly, this one's tiles, correct?
They are tiles. Yeah, they're good chunky bit tiles that you can actually hold. I'm not sure why they have like the circle indentions on most of the tiles. I think that's like to hold them.
Yeah.
But most of them will come with racks as well. All right. Next one, Focus. Have you heard anything about Focus?
No, I have not heard anything about this one.
Okay, so first off, take a look at the designer, Sid Saxon.
Sid Saxon.
So therefore, the idea of this game is it's kind of like I'm gonna take over control of yours. He originally designed this to be played on a chessboard or a checkerboard and using checkers. And the original design was printed in a book called The Gamut of Games. And so he wrote the rules in that. And since then, the publishers, I believe this version might have been Milton Bradley, they actually published a real version of it. Effectively, what you're trying to do is you're trying to take control of the other player's pieces, and you gain control if you're the piece on top, but the piece can only move in a straight line based on how many pieces there are in the stack. So if there's 3 pieces in the stack, it can move 3 spaces in a line. Very simple abstract strategy. Doesn't get too much
Yep.
more complicated than that.
Not my style, but hey, it looks okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically you just want to make it the player who doesn't have moves remaining, they lose. So,
Okay, sounds good.
yeah, that's
Moving
it.
on.
Moving on. Enchanted Forest, which is by Alex Randolph. What do you know about Enchanted Forest?
I'm trying to pull it up so I can get a look at it. Did we play something similar to this, Elfinland, or...
Elfinland is coming up soon, but that is
Okay.
actually in a Spiel winner.
Did they reprint this? Because I've seen this before.
Yeah, I have a newer version from Ravensburger.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I saw this being played at the shop. I haven't played it yet, but...
Right. So the idea of what you're trying to do, you are trying to go along the board. You see that there's a bunch of different trees on the board. That's
Yeah.
because each of those trees has a little token inside of it that you can only look at from the bottom, and they're hidden items. The card that's revealed is what item you need to find. So in order to get to the card, you have to get to this space, and then you have to reveal the correct tree. Where other parts of the game, you are moving around and you're looking at the trees and you're trying to memorize where each of these spots are. Now, of course, you just don't have enough time to figure out where everything is before the opponents can make some logical guesses and attempts to it. But that's basically what it is you're trying to get to these cards. I think it's first to a set number wins by finding the hidden items around the board.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a kid's game, and it's never been marketed otherwise, but it's a fairly straightforward game. I know there is ways to mitigate the random in it, but yeah, mostly that's just all you're doing is you're looking under the trees, going to the cards if you think you know where they are.
So, from what I'm reading here, there has been 2 re-implementations of it. 97, it was a Wizard of Oz version, and a Fairy Tale Forest version called, I am not even going to try that, Ep.10 Spiel. Oh my god.
That sounded pretty pretty solid on it. But yeah, so it's kind of a deduction seek and find game.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Not my style, but I'd play it just to try it.
Okay.
It's just, it looks too simple, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's
Though
definitely simple.
The Wizard of Oz theme has me a little interested. I'm not a big fan of the movie, but I heard the books are really good.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I'll give credit to Alex Randolph. He has a number of games like Museum Heist. You and I have played that one. This
Yeah.
kind of has a similar feel to it, but it's definitely more kid friendly than, or not saying that Museum Heist isn't kid friendly, but it's just Museum Heist is straight up bluffing. That's that's kind of like this, except you do have like the roll and move. So, let's go on to the next one. Scotland Yard. What do you know about Scotland Yard?
If I remember correctly, it's one of the first implementations of like the hidden betrayer, hidden movement style game, a la like Fury of Dracula, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yeah, this was a precursor to Fury of Dracula, more or less. What you do is you have one player is playing as Mr. X, and he is secretly moving throughout the board. All he's trying to do is stay away from everybody, because if somebody goes into his spot, he loses immediately. Game over, that's it. Okay? Here's the way it works, though. Scotland Yard, the people who are trying to find him, they have the ability to move around the board using tiles. The tiles say either road, taxi, or subway.
Okay.
Or bus, I'm sorry. And so those ones, if you do a taxi, which is the most common, you move from one spot to the other following the road. Makes sense.
Yeah.
They also have like dotted lines and dashed lines underneath, and the dotted pink lines are for the underground. You can go from one underground city to any other that connect with those lines, as long as they both have like an underground. It'll be colored in on their number.
Okay.
And then same with the bus, you can move from one bus station to another bus station around the board. And then there's also these black tiles, which I think Mr. X only uses, where he can move secretly. Because what makes this interesting is that the tiles that you use, you hand to Mr. X, and he uses those as the supply. And he gets to use whatever tiles you give him, but you don't know exactly where he's going. And all you can see is just the path of where he's gone, or like what your sources tell you. So if you took underground or bus or taxi.
Okay.
So it's actually not as difficult as you think to find the people. I have both an older version and a newer version of this, and I out of all the hidden movement, this is probably my favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's because we haven't played Fury of Dracula yet.
that's true. I have not played it, so I'll give you that. All right, next one, Damp Frost or Railway Rivals.
Hey, the year I was born, showing my age.
1979. You were born in 79?
No, this one in '84.
Yeah, 84 was when it won the, but it was printed in 1989. This is straight up crayon, uh, making railways across the country. I don't have much more to say about it other than that. I don't own this one, so do you want to read through the description real quick?
The game was originally designed by a teacher to be used as a learning tool. There are several different editions of this game, originally released in the UK as Railway Rivals, but most feature several different hexagonal maps of real locations, such as Tennessee and Germany. Starting from one of the cities pictured on the map, players build tracks during the first part of the game. Players receive a small bonus for reaching a city before anyone else, but otherwise funds are quite limited. After nearly every city has been connected to someone's rail line, several races are held on the resultant track. The starting city and destination cities are determined randomly, and players can use each other's tracks for a nominal fee, of course. After all races have been held, the player with the largest bank account is the winner. Apparently, this series of games is very similar to Mayfair Games' Crown Rail game series, though they are used erasable marker pens instead of crayons.
Yep. Yeah, the Crayon Rail series. I used to have one of the Crayon Rails games, and I ended up getting rid of it because I didn't like dry erasing the crayon from a board. It worked.
So,
It was just not pleasant.
what's interesting about this, it was recommended for the Spiel des Jahres in 1980 and actually won in '84.
Yeah. So you could tell that they were still getting into their own and trying to figure out
Yeah.
exactly how it works. But yeah, this is one of the few I don't own yet, and I'm sure you can print out pages of this to try and play it, right? Um,
Sure.
maybe I'll have to do that to get my collection. It's a little cheap, but it might work. All right. Does that sound like one that you'd want to play?
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, I didn't think so. I like the whole racing on other people's rails idea. That's pretty cool. All right,
And
next
then
one.
paying them for it, so.
Yeah, and paying them for it because it's not a race. It's a income game. So, uh, number 1985, I believe, was when this won. Yep, 1985. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. It was so popular, in fact, that it got a reprint and a number of other editions. But effectively, this was kind of like a choose your own adventure book in a way. What do you know about these ones?
I have seen them played. I haven't played it myself. I know it's a abduction game. You're Sherlock Holmes and helpers, I guess you could say, trying to, or no, if I remember correctly, you're trying to discover who the thing is before Sherlock Holmes does. Correct? The murderer or whoever.
Exactly. You're trying to do better than Sherlock Holmes because you know he's going to come in at the end of the round and list off very clearly how brilliant he is and
Yeah.
how he solved everything, no problem, and you're just trying to do as good as him if not better. Very difficult to do.
Yeah. I heard it's one of the most difficult games of the Spiel des Jahres winners because of that fact that you're trying to outdo Sherlock Holmes, but the way the game is built, it's not. Sherlock Holmes is always going to have a high score, so you're always not going to beat him.
Yeah, he's always going to score 100 points.
Yeah.
Always 100 and then but you could even go negatives by spending too much time. It's it's interesting. It's definitely fun. Uh, it's less of a game. It's more of an activity. Because technically there is a win condition, but really it's nothing. There's no mechanisms. You just kind of read the passages and decide together as a group. Whereas, like, say something like modern day detective, you have an actual format and you have like a specific amount of time that you're allowed to use.
Yeah.
So if you like detective, it's worth looking into. But I can understand why a lot of people don't like this comparatively.
Another one that's quite interesting about this game is that its wide range of awards. It won was nominated and won the 1982 Charles S. Roberts Best Fantasy Board Game, of course, the 1985 Spiel des Jahres, as well as the 2012 Asdor Jeu de l'année Prix du jury winner. It was a finalist for the Lise Passione in the 2012 Trick Track nomination.
Yep. Yeah.
So it won back in the 80s and got nominated or won back in the teens. So
yeah, and that's because they did all the reprints, and these new editions are really fantastic. They come with like 10 cases in each book, and it's 10 different books and a fold out map. Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's quite intriguing that it's 20 years apart, basically 30 years apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's winning awards. So
right. Yeah, it's still really great. All right, let's jump on to the next one. I don't want to belabor too much on each of these.
Yep.
Heimlich and Co. What do you know?
I'm trying to pull this up. Nothing.
All right, I'm going to first point out I have it under Top Secret Spies. That's the version I have. But it is by Wolfgang Kramer. And the idea of this game, I will pull up a board here in a bit. You have a number of pawns that are in the board. And effectively, you're trying to get certain pawns to the safe to win. If you're the one who moves that, if you're the one who moves your winning piece onto the board, you win. Or whoever's the highest when somebody exits the board. So let's look at this board real quick. You see how it's just one little circle. You start off on 1 and you go up to 10. The thing is, your role is hidden. So I might be the blue player, I might not be. But if you notice that I'm starting to move the blue pawn forward more, then you're probably going to be suspicious of it. But then me knowing that, it's like Museum Heist, except more on a linear scale. There's also each round the chest here, what's it called? The safe is placed on a different spot each turn. So whoever's the farthest ahead gets the most points. And I think after a certain number of rounds, whoever has the highest score total wins.
That's interesting. The only problem I have with this is it's bluffing. I'm not a big fan of bluffing games.
Yeah, it's only bluffing just because, the pieces you move may or may not be yours. You can move any piece you want.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, this game itself was recommended for the Spiel des Jahres in 85, won in 86. Also had a Japan Board Game Prize Best Foreign Game for Beginners nomination back in 2002.
Yeah, that's certainly different. Must have been a reprint.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I like this one. This one's cool. I really do like this hidden roles in it. That's really fun to just watch how people try and act like they fool you, but then it's pretty obvious when they're trying to bluff, and you can tell by their tells. It's neat. Let's jump ahead to our next winner, 1987 winner, I believe. Yep. Ausch. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a game about
another
trucking.
Kramer game, right?
Another Wolfgang Kramer. Yeah. So why don't you read the description, because I actually don't know much about this one.
So, Ausch translates roughly to On the Road, an appropriate title for this 1987 Spiel des Jahres winner, which has players delivering loads of commodities to various German and other European cities. Supply cities and demand cities are determined through card play, and players attempt to get delivery contracts by bidding against one another. Movement is accomplished by rolling a die, then moving little rubberized trucks around an abstracted map, which depicts lots of interconnected roads and cities in Germany and surrounding countries. Re-released in 2007 with new artwork and several rule changes designed to reduce randomness.
Yeah, make it more strategic. How does this one sound to you?
Actually, it doesn't sound too bad. To me, it sounds more of a like a pick up and deliver style game than what it's described. Well, it's in its mechanism, but for the categories under like economic, which is kind of true. I don't know how you get movies, TVs, and radio theme off of this. Maybe if you pretended Smokey and the Bandit. I don't know.
There might have been a themed version of it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but if you look at this picture, I like this a lot. The little cargo that this truck is carrying is actually a cube that you pull from the board. I think that's really great. Now I've
Yeah, what's neat
played.
about it, Danny? I just want to let you know because I get like Amazon pop-ups over here.
Uh huh.
It's like $26 on Amazon.
Internationally, I've already looked at the shipping. It's like $20 shipping. Uh, but but I'll pull that up anyway just in case because maybe they've gotten cheaper. I don't know. But I'll keep that on the side for now. Yeah, it's a pick up and deliver game, which I have played. One of the worst games I've ever played in my life was a pick up and deliver trucking game. And it was not designed well. It was super random. You roll a die, and you're constantly penalized. This actually looks like it has a legitimate
Oh
like
my god, I remember that
stock
game.
market. Yeah, yeah, Truck in America.
Oh
Um,
god, the thing sucked so bad.
but this one, thank goodness, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's a Spiel winner, so it can't be that bad, and it is Wolfgang Kramer, so he doesn't implement the random as much. He actually gives you meaningful choices. I'm curious how the card play decides what you deliver and where to. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying it. I don't know how we would get it to the table, but I wouldn't mind trying it.
Yeah, eventually when I end up buying it, then when it comes my way, we'll give it a shot. All right, let's move on to the next one. Barbarossa. What do you know about this one?
Not a lot. I know the designer Klaus Tubor. He was kind of prolific back in the day. Um,
Yeah, this is one of at least
it's an
two.
interesting looking one. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's won at least two. One will be coming up in 1995, which we'll talk about here pretty soon. Um,
Hint, hint.
hint, hint. Which you've definitely heard of that one, but this one was re-implemented as Dodals, where basically, in a way, it is essentially Pictionary with clay. However, you are
Yeah, no,
not.
I remember you describing this one to me
Yeah, you.
before.
It's weird because it uses somewhat of a Dixit mechanism where you want some people to figure out what you made, but not everybody. So
Okay.
only if everybody or nobody gets it that you're penalized, but you get points if somebody's able to do it. And what's neat is they include these little plastic arrows that are kind of like the voting. It's like, oh well, I think I know what this is. Then you take these little plastic arrows and you actually stick them into the clay to show that they've been guessed. Which
So,
is silly.
interesting thing about this game I'm reading on the description here. It was later developed. A later developed game directly inspired by Barbarossa is Dominic Grapuchet's Cluzzle. It was republished by Cosmo in Rio Grande in 2001, as well as republished by Mayfair in 2005 in an edition for maximum 4 players in a smaller size box. Because this actually could hold a big number of players from what I was reading originally,
Yeah,
because it was considered a party game.
yeah. This one specifically is 3 to 4 players, which is weird, but the very, very original version was designed for four, I think, and then they expanded it with newer implements, which is good. That's what it needed. Because 3 to 4 players is such a specific amount.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was this one. Next one, Cafe International, which I believe you played it with me.
Yeah. Don't get
Well,
me wrong. I enjoy the game, but the copy that you have, which is the one that's on the cover, yeah, would not fly in today's culture.
it's questionable. Yeah, the art on it is definitely questionable. But the way the game works is that you're drawing these tiles out of the bag, and you are trying to put them, grouped with their specific countries. So, like for example, you want all the United States people here. You want all the French people with their tables, all the Germans with their tables, and and you're scoring sets based on if you place the last tile that fills a set. Because the more that are of your from your origin, from your country, at that table, the more points you're going to get.
Well, not just that too. Sometimes you won't be able to get the whole thing of the country. It also has a tendency to you get points based off females at a table and males at a table.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to counterbalance if you can't get all, say, the Americans at one table.
Right. And what I find really interesting is that the chairs that are in between the tables, those can be occupied by either one. And that makes it end up being really interesting. On At first it doesn't seem like that interesting because you're just matching them to whatever country they have. But really, like, let's say this one, for example, could sit at either of these tables, and that could mess them up, or it could benefit, the first table. So that's basically how it works. What were your thoughts on this one? How would you rank this one?
I would rate this, for me, probably about a 7. I enjoyed it. It's a nice little puzzle game. For an abstract strategy, which this is at its core really is, it was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time playing it. The artwork is a little iffy. I know that you said there might be a new reprint of it,
yeah,
newer version of it.
If you look, I'll pull up at least the cover of it. I don't know if any of these specifically show a new board, but this is the new cover of it, and it's like a coffee thing with a bunch of different countries. I don't know what tiles they have in this version of it. I'm guessing it is, if it loads, this is the back of it. So yeah, it still has mostly the same art, but it's just a better cover.
Yeah, the art, it's a little hokey. It's also a little racist.
Yeah, it's questionable, but that's all right. The game is okay.
Stereotypes. There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't specifically poke fun at anybody, but I mean, like the guys from America have big old giant cigars and cowboy hats, I mean, I guess that makes sense, because what other country would you really see that in? But that's all speculative. It is stereotypical. Alright, let's jump on to the next one. Hoity-toity.
I know nothing about this one, because you don't own it.
Yep, and look who designed it.
Klaus Tuber. And this is not the guy we're talking about. This is not the game, people.
This is not the game. It's just another one he won. Why don't you read the description for it?
What do bored English noblemen do with their free time? Well, according to this Spiel des Jahres winner by Klaus Tuber, they like collecting old junk. Oh my God, Danny, you're an English nobleman. And then showing it off. Players buy or steal various pieces of junk in the form of cards, try to form the largest and oldest collection. Built on a rock, paper, scissors mechanism, this game gives all players a couple of choices each turn. The trick is in guessing what your opponents are likely to do and planning your choice accordingly. Only after everyone's decision is revealed do you know for certain whether you made the right one.
There you go. So what do you think?
I mean, it doesn't sound bad. The pictures aren't not too bad. Just so everybody else knows, we didn't do it on the other ones, but this one was also the winner of the Deutscher Spiel Press Best Family Adult Game, the Spiel des Jahres in 1990 as well, and the 2004 Netherlands Speil Des Jahres, so I guess Game of the Year nominee.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it's got a decent following in, like, the European play. I mean, it got nominated 14 years later by the Netherlands, so
yeah, definitely.
Must be doing good.
I think it's still in print, or at least had been for quite some time. You can see right here, here's the cards that people will be bidding, and it shows like which beat what. Yeah, it's basically like who plays which cards at the right time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one that I'm really kind of excited to own. Yeah. Wacky Wacky West. Originally,
this is another one you don't own, right? And another one by Klaus Tuber.
I do own this one.
Do you?
I do. In fact, I got it at a bookstore, and I got it used, thankfully.
Oh, I know which bookstore it is then.
Yep. You can take, because I remember the name Wacky Wacky West. I was like, that sounds awfully familiar. And when I finally looked it up, sure enough, yeah, it wasn't too expensive. Yeah, so this game, basically, it's a tile-laying game. It's a polyomino, in a way. Not really, it's actually just paths. but you're trying to get your guys to all of these different locations. Um, it's set in the Gold Rush, so what of course is Wacky Wacky West. You're trying to build your paths on and to build your characters into the board. Um, it was okay. It's probably one of my least favorite of them.
Okay.
I don't have much more to say than that. I just wasn't too impressed. It was fun. I just it seemed really clunky and there was a lot of fiddliness to it. But
So it won the Spiel in '91, and then it won or it got third place in the Deutscher Spiel Press Best Family Adult Game,
yeah,
also '91.
also 91. Yeah, you can see on this one how they have the different tiles going to and from the spots.
Yeah.
They do have to be placed in a certain way. Like I think water has to extend from water, but yeah, I wasn't that impressed with it. All right, let's move on to the neich one. Reifenbright, which is one I do not own. So why don't you say the description for it?
Oh, yay. Translating as By the Width of a Tire, the game covers a Tour de France type bicycle race. Each player takes control of a 4-member racing team, and the goal is to score as many points as possible for the whole team. Movement is primarily handled by dice, however, a limited card set partially replaces die results. Once you add unique rules, which allow riders to draft one another and multiple kinds of road surfaces, this game has much to offer race fans. Homas Tour is the original edition of the cycle racing game later known as Reifenbright. Many copies of the original game were destroyed in a warehouse fire in 1979. The combination of its sudden rarity and recognition as a good game meant that Homas Tour was and is very desirable, particularly to collectors. Everyone else could save their money and enjoy Reifenbright.
Which isn't exactly true because Reifenbright is also out of print at the moment and rather difficult to find, especially here in the United States.
Yep.
Um, I
Because I've heard good things about this. I actually really want to play it. For those who are into board gaming, the Dice Tower highly recommends this game. So that's where it got onto my radar, and I really want to try it.
yeah, this is one that I wish I can get a decent copy of it, or at
For
least
cheap, not super expensive.
right, exactly. Here we go. English chance cards for P&P crafters. I'll load that up in a new window and not talk about it till later. Anyway,
Also, 92 Spiel Des Jahres winner, as we were talking about. And then it also won, or got second place in the Deutscher Spiel Best Family Adult Game.
yep. All right, next one. One I already know you don't like.
Oh, really?
Perudo, also known as Liar's Dice.
Oh, heck no. This is all you.
But let's talk about this for a second. I'll explain why. You remember how we were talking about influential designers? Well, Richard Borg, he is the designer of this, which he's mainly known for war games, which is completely different. He ended up making this a public domain game. Anybody can print Liar's Dice. Anybody, or the same version of it. They even played this in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yep.
I think it's Dead Man Dice or something like that.
Well, yeah, you also have, there's a Simpson one you can see in the pictures called Duff Dice.
Yep, which is the version I own. I actually own the Duff Dice version. So basically, the idea of this game is you have a bunch of dice. Every player starts with 5 dice. You want to know that the ones are wild, which is why a lot of them will have a fancy symbol or a star or a skull and bones for the ones instead. Everybody shakes up their 5 dice. You look at what you have, and then you start bidding on what you think the group collectively has. So, for example, I might say that there are 3 5s between all of us. The next player has to bid a number either higher at the same quantity or a higher quantity at any number. So, for example, if I said 3 5s, Daniel could say 3 6s or 4 copies of anything, 5 copies. Wilds will always match whatever number is bid. And then this continues until one player believes that somebody else bid too high. They call them on it. All players reveal, and if the player who called them on it was correct, then the player who lied loses a die, or If he was wrong, the player who called him on it loses a die. Either way, the dice continuously get removed until one player is with dice remaining. That's the game.
Funny note for Liar's Dice. You want to know where I played the most of this at? Was
What is that?
the video game Red Dead Redemption, the first one. They had Liar's Dice in that game.
Yep. That cracks me up so much with that idea because I mean, like technically 1800, right? But made by Richard Borg.
Well,
you know,
early 1900s.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of versions of it, but I think this is a solid game. It's just I think the only reason a lot of people haven't heard about it is because, well, how often do you have 20 dice available for 4 players and 4 cups?
Yeah.
Unless you actually buy it specifically, you're never going to have 40 dice lying around or 20 dice lying around.
Unless they're you.
Unless they're me. Right. Or if I mean, I'm not the average person that just happens to have dice lying around.
Just get 2 copies of Tinsy. You'll be fine.
You only need 1 copy of Tenzi.
Well, there you go.
You can play 8 players. All right, Manhattan. What do you know about Manhattan?
Just by the cover, not much. I'm trying to figure it out. I know it's like a city builder, right?
Kinda. Not really. It's more of an abstract. I mean, yes, you're building up skyscrapers, but
yeah, that's all I remember is the skyscraper thing. Like I said, I don't know too much about this one, but I know it had something to do with city building.
Yeah. Take a look at the designer, Andreas Seafarth. He is Puerto Rico.
Well, at least it's good to know he got better.
Hey, I like Puerto Rico, and I think you do too. I
prefer the card game of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, San Juan, it's a solid game. So the idea is that every player has a certain amount of these skyscraper pieces. They're either 1, 2, 3. I think there might be a four-story tall one as well.
I've seen a version of this. I don't know if it was still under Manhattan or something along these lines.
Yeah, there is a newer version of it with like clear towers. Foxmind came out with it recently.
Yeah, I've seen that version.
Yeah, they both functionally work the exact same, but the idea is you have 6 cities like this, and you play a card. Let me see if I can find a picture of the card, so that way it makes more sense. Because the cards themselves have little diagrams on them, and it shows a 3x3 square, as you can see here, and one of the squares is colored in. So in this one, the top center square is colored in. Meaning, when I play it where the top of the board is touching, or the top of the card is touching the board, because it is based on my perspective. My perspective would be different than yours if you played the same card. But that means that when I play that card, the top middle one, I can play one of my skyscrapers on the top middle spot of any one of the 6 cities that I want. If I play it on top of a skyscraper, the size that I put down has to give me the majority of the skyscraper buildings there. So if you already have a 3-story one, I can only play a 4 unless I had something previously played. But the building only goes to whoever has the top piece, no matter what. At the end of each round, I think there's 3 or 4 rounds. At the end of each round, you get 1 point for every space in a town you own. Then you get 2 points for every bonus or every majority that you have in each city. And then you get 3 points for the tallest tower. And that's it. Most points wins at the end of a few rounds.
Interesting. Like I said, I've seen it, never played it myself. I kind of had the understanding of how it worked. Just so people will know, it won the Spiel des Jahres in 1994. Also got 3rd place in the Duchu Spiel Press Best Family Adult Game. And in 95, it won the Our Spell Best Family Game, as well as the Wooden Pele Family Game of the Year.
Very cool. Yeah, I like my copy of this. I have this version, the bigger one, with the older art. I like it a lot.
Okay.
All right.
So the next one is the one we've been hinting at.
Yep.
Klaus Tuber.
Going on to the big boy here. This is still the 3rd highest selling board game of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going the route of one of the best-selling board games of all time, if not the first, Monopoly, with a bunch of reskins.
Yeah, exactly. Catan. Catan, what? I mean, what can we say about Catan that hasn't been said already?
Uh,
It's the first game that came to America that really brought Euro mechanisms to that, and I think
uh, it broke. It's basically reached the heights of, say, Monopoly, where it's in pop culture as well. You see it in TV shows. You hear people talking about it outside uh, board gaming itself. That's why it was on the influential list that we did a while back, just because it hit this stratosphere. You have offensive linemen for the Green Bay Packers having game night playing this game and to get it rough and tumble. So
yeah, who thought about trading resources would be perfect for football players? The, but I mean, like I think what really set this game apart from other Euro games, and what still does, is the fact of how important the trading is amongst
mm-hmm.
players. It's so vital that you trade resources and you have this active market going between the players. If you
Yeah.
don't do that, then that makes it no different than any other Euro game.
And the thing is with this as well, because of that trading mechanism, even people who don't know board games know wood for sheep. It's a joke, a common joke around TV shows and just in general meme culture and stuff like that because it's so popular.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It really is. So we're not going to belabor it too much. You know Catan. Yeah,
There's way too many awards that it won to really get into. So
yeah,
it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 listed. Some of those are nominees. Most of those are winners.
right. Yeah, so that's need we say more? If if you want to
Exactly.
look for a game that most people do enjoy, Catan is it. Let's jump into another one, way less known, but you and I both really enjoy.
In fact, this is probably my favorite one on this list so far that we've talked about.
And also look at the designer, Wolfgang Krummer. Same thing. So why don't
Yeah.
you take it over and why don't you explain how this one works?
Well, this is probably one of the first major area control style games that doesn't involve like warfare, like a Risk or something like that. This is basically you're just trying to get control of certain areas by putting certain things out and playing specific cards to help you get how many characters you want to put or get into your pool, as well as being able to supply them in certain areas, and then getting them into that what is that thing called, the Castiel, I think it's the prison area,
Yeah.
and trying to get control, and it scores in different ways. You kind of have an idea of what area is going to score each round, and the person who has the highest score wins at the end of the game. It is, to me, one of the better games so far on this list that I really enjoy. It's simple. You got your little big meatballs that you're moving around. The king is moving around as well. And then the blind, I guess you could say blind bidding, where you think what area is going to score or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that little dial.
Yeah. Yeah.
But honestly, it's such a good game. It plays really well. We had a good time playing with 2 players. I would like to try this with more players. Yeah, I don't know what else I could describe. How to describe it? The power cards are interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, every player has their own power cards. All of them have the same, but how you play
Yeah,
them and when you play them, there's a lot going for this game. It looks more
yeah,
complicated than it is.
yeah. It really looks intimidating when you first get it out because of everything that's going in there, and then you play it and you're like, wow, that's simple. That was.
Yeah.
It only took us what, a turn or two to figure out how to play the mechanisms real well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Maybe a couple minutes. It was
Yeah.
not long at all. So that
No, I
is El
really enjoyed
Grande.
this one. It's got, let's see, the 95 Meeple's Choice Award, the 96 Deutscher Spiel Press Best Family Adult Game winner, of course, the 96 Spiel Des Jahres, as well as the 97 Eric Spiel Best Adult Game winner.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next one. Mississippi Queen. Tell me, what do you know about this one?
Not a lot. If I remember correctly, it's kind of like a racing game. You're racing steamboats in a sense.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, you have you have steamboats. Each you have two dials on the steamboat, which is pretty neat. I'm missing one of these. I should have my friend 3D print one of these dials now that I think about it. The way this works is that you each have a boat and you're trying to make it to the end faster than everybody else. On your turn, you can adjust the amount of coal and the amount of speed that you are using. But here's the thing, if you're going too fast, it's going to be hard to maneuver around the turns because the board tiles are what make it interesting. It's not always a guarantee that they're going to come out in a specific pattern. In fact, that's the only time you use the die is when determining where the next hexagon board tile is going to go. Is it going to go straight, to the left, or to the right? So you can see in this shot, there's a long winding path that they've built throughout the course of this. And you're also trying to bring ladies from the different islands to different spots as well, and to deliver them for bonuses as well. So it's really neat. I've actually really enjoyed it when I played it. I just wish I wasn't missing those pieces.
Yeah, I haven't played this one. The only reason I remember it is because you described it to me before. The 97 Spiel winner, as well as the 1997 Essen Feder Best Written Rolls winner. So apparently it had really good rolls.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I remember it was pretty easy to pick up. It's in a huge box, though. The box itself is one of the bigger ones that I have for being a normal, quote-unquote, sized game. All right, let's go on to the next one. This is the one that I believe you have played, right? Or you played the card game version of it.
The card game version of it, and could not stand the card game version of it.
I think you should give the board game another shot because
Does it play like the card game? No.
no, it doesn't. Quite a bit different actually, and I think that's why they had a different name. This, in a way, was a precursor to Ticket to Ride. It's also made by Alan Moon. The idea is you want to be, after a certain number of turns, you want to have visited the most towns. You start the game by putting your tokens, your colored octagonal tokens, on each of the cities on the board. And you're going to be moving your boot, your elf boot, from city to city. Now, the thing is, you can only move through different regions based on what cards you play. So, for example, you'll have cards that will let you decide which one or which area you're going to move to. For example, I could play a dragon that would let me go through the forest area. Or maybe a troll could let me go through the forest area. But you also have to figure out which tiles and which resources you need to pay them in order to get you that far. So they always have tiles laid out in a way a la Ticket to Ride style. There's like 4 or 5 that are always out. And you go through first a round of taking tiles until you each have a certain amount. And then playing cards to try and move as far as you can. The cool thing is you can also use other players' previously placed tiles down. So if they use, let's say, a troll to move through the forest, or like one of these ones over here through this forest area, if you already had one from a turn and had the card capable of playing it, you could play your card and move across their tile, and then only use the resources as you need.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. It's probably better than you'd think by looking at it. I really, really enjoyed it. Enough where when I saw the card game version of it, that's what got me excited to try it. But then, unfortunately, it just wasn't. I didn't mind the card game version of it, but
everybody else hated it.
Everybody else hated it, and I don't blame you for not doing it. But the people who I've shown Elfenland to really enjoyed it so far. So I would highly encourage you to give this one a shot.
I'll think about it.
Okay, that's about as best as I can get out of you.
Right, ready to move on to the next one?
Sure. Real quick, this won the 2014 Hungarian Board Game Award nominee, 1998 Spiel des Jahres winner, 1998 People's Choice Award, and 1998 Deutscher Spiel Press Best Family Adult Game, 3rd place.
Good, you had to say all those names.
Yep, I tried my best. All right, let's move on to the next one. Tikal. Now, I want you to take this one. I want you to read it because This might be something you're interested in.
Oh, I can already tell you, I'm already interested. Excuse me, I'm already interested in it. Tikal is a game of exploration within the Central American jungles in search of lost temples and the treasures within. Players send their team of explorers in the jungle, exposing more and more of the terrain. Along the way, you find temples that require further uncovering and treasures. Players attempt to score points for occupying temples and holding onto treasures. Tikal is the first game of the Mass Trilogy, and it has a sequel known as Tikal 2, The Lost Temple.
There we go. So as you can see here, the players have different tents based on their different locations. They're also sending their workers into theirs. The taller you build the temple, the more points they're worth. And what's neat is that they have little cardboard tokens for the temples, and they get progressively smaller. And so you're building effectively a 3D tower as you're building up and making it more and more valuable. It's really neat how that emerges throughout the game. Like over here on this backside, you can see how there's kind of a taller tower built there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about this one? Is this one
I
worth?
mean, it's worth trying. That's all I can really say about most of these games. I don't know if I'll like it hands down.
Sure.
Maybe if I watch like a watch it played video or view and see how it plays, I may
Yeah.
get more into it. But I mean, it's been on my list of wanting to try. It won the 1999 Spiel des Jahres as well as the Deutscher Spielpreis Best Family Adult Game, the 2000 International Gamer Awards General Strategy and Multiplayer, and the Hra Roku nominee in 2004.
Very cool. Yeah, and you can see right here that. So one thing I want to point out on how the mechanisms work. You see how there's a number of steps going to and from each of the tiles along the
Yeah.
paths? That's how many action points it takes to move from that tile to the other one. So for example, this one only takes one action point to move from here to there.
Okay.
Yeah. This one would take two. This one would take substantially more. Like I think this one
Okay.
is like five. So you can, and you lay down the tile in a way where you force people to have to take long routes in order to make fewer movement points, even though the tile is right there because it's just a steep hill. It's really kind of neat. Next one, break there, just so yeah, we can get back to recording. We are at the halfway mark of our everyday board game breakdown for Spiel des Jahres winners, and we stopped right here on Torres, which is a game that you and I have played.
Yep.
What do you remember about this one?
I remember the having to build the castles and kind of putting your character in the right way. They can only go through certain areas of the castle, the tunnels. Uh, your knights, basically, the higher they are, the more points they can get each turn. I remember that much.
Yeah, it's like the height times the space, the area that the towers have created.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it takes like say 9 spaces for the tower and it's 5 spaces tall, it's 45 points, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that. It has been a little while that we've played it. One thing I do remember is that none of the castles can be combined. So they can
Yeah.
each expand, but never join. And I like how on the aesthetics on the art here, the pieces, the actual tower pieces themselves, have doorways on it, and that's not just to make it look nice. That's actually really important to the game that you can pass through those doorways too.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah, it's a really big mechanism in the game. It's moving one space from like one side of the building to the other. So yeah, overall, this was probably I don't know. This is probably on my lower end of which ones I like. It is a Kramer and Kiesling game, which we will
Yeah,
still see their name later.
it's still so far. I think El Grande is my favorite on the Spiel winners. We'll get to my probably one of my top three Spiel winners here soon in a couple. You know which one it is.
Is it the one that you hate?
It's no. It's the next big one
Next big one. All right.
along the lines of Catan.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if this next one's gonna be it. I just like this image right here.
Before we
It's
do
the
that,
3D.
Torres was also won the second place of the Deutscher Spielpreis Best Family Adult Game. It was the 2000 Game Magazine Game of the Year Award, 2000 International Gamers Award General Strategy Multiplayer nominee, as well as the Spiel des Jahres winner of 2000.
Very good. Now on to 2001, my personal favorite, Carcassonne.
Never play with Tim.
I adore
Especially
this
if you're
game.
named Daniel.
I really, really, genuinely enjoy this game. The idea is that you're laying down tiles. On your turn, you lay down one tile. If nobody has a thief on the road, you can put a thief on the road, or you can place your meeple on in the town as a knight, or you can place him down on the grass as a farmer. You're just trying to get the most points by building up your town. Roads are worth 1 point per tile. Towns are worth 2 points per tile if completed, and farmers are 3 points for every town that's completed that it touches. However, if there's already a meeple on the feature, you can't put a meeple there, but you can put a meeple in a way that they will later be combined, and then whoever has the majority of that would get the points.
So, there's one important thing you forgot to mention about this game. We talked about it in the top 8 debate of Rio Grande Games, in that it is the one that created the meeple.
It is, exactly. So not only has it won all these awards, it created a meeple. In fact, this is rivaling Catan almost for the number of awards.
Yeah, there's a lot on here that I really don't want to go into, but it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wins and nominations combined. So, probably, let's just say it won half of those awards because I'm seeing Spiel des Jahres nominee as well as Wooden Pelly Family Game of the Year nominee, but also won those awards. So, very, very, very popular game.
Yeah, and here's a picture of a lot of the tiles. I'm assuming this is about 7 or 8 expansions. I mean, yeah, you end up with like this massive layout of just beautiful tile building that everybody has all collectively built.
Man, those people actually built a really nice map.
Yeah, they did.
Ours never looked like that.
No, ours is way more violent. But they're using at least 2 rivers.
Yeah, I was noticing that there are 2 river tiles on that one.
Yeah. And I think it's the river 1 and 2 because this has a split in the river part.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty good. I do enjoy this game a lot, so much to the point where I want to make a custom version of it. The only thing I've ever complained about it is...
You're a jerk? Yeah, we know.
No, the color. The colors between the brown and the light green.
Yeah, no, that's a bit of an issue. I do like the implementation that they did in the online version that we got through the Humble Bundle.
Yep.
Just because if you want to look at how the meeple is feeding the farms, it shows the colors. It shows if there's a tie between 2 colors, and so it's I like that. It makes it easier for me. It makes it easier for the farms.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. All right. That was Carcassonne. Let's go on to 2002 winners. Via Paletti. What do you know about this one?
I know it's a stacking game. That's all I remember being told about it. It's so just from what I'm reading here, it's like a dexterity stacking game that can be played with children.
Yep. That's exactly right. Yeah, it is a dexterity game. You're going to be building these towers, big old giant pillars, and you build them on top of like these pallet-looking style boards. It's super colorful. It looks really nice. Whoever places the most
That's a really nice picture of
wins.
it too.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I like is that one of the components it comes with is a hook, so you could pull out the tile or your posts from underneath, because each player has a certain number of posts and their shape and size determines how many points they're worth.
So there's another game along this line that I want to play. I think it starts with an M, and it's another dexterity game. I can't remember what it's called, but it kind of reminds me of this.
Men at Work?
No, it's Manara or something like that.
Oh,
something
yeah.
along that line. Huh?
Yeah, Manara. I think you're right on that. That sounds familiar. It looks like they took that and basically made a full game out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's really neat. I like how what makes it interesting is when you lay down these pallets of different shapes, you have to cover at least two tiles or two of the posts, but it doesn't specify which ones you can and can't cover up. So oftentimes you'll use that in a way where you'll put it where your opponent's posts are absolutely vital to the structural stability of it. Because a big thing about it is placing down posts or placing a pallet, and you're trying to get your posts out there longer. Um, so if you put their posts in the wrong place or in a perfect place where they can't take it out, well then it's stuck there for the rest of the game, and that's less points that they're gonna get. It's pretty
So
neat.
this game is the 2001 Trick Track Best Children's Track or winner as well as nomination. It won or is nominated for the 2002 Japan Board Game Prize Best Board Game for Beginners nominee, the nomination and winning of the 2002 Spiel des Jahres, as well as the 2002 Wooden Pele Family Game of the Year nomination.
One thing that made this really interesting is that this is right in between. You went from Tikal, Torres, and Carcassonne to this, which is a
And
dexterity game,
then
and
the
then
next game we're talking
more,
about, which is a lot bigger.
and then the next like six are all Euro games. So this was,
Yeah.
I think this was the point where they're like, hey, look, party games can win this too, which we'll be
Especially
talking about.
children's game, because a lot of the, if you notice the honors and nominees were it was for children's games, so it was made to play with younger audience.
Exactly, exactly. All right, Alhambra. Do you?
Another one I actually do enjoy the tile laying. I like the puzzle aspect of this one with the walls.
Mhm.
The bidding system is a little iffy for me. I've only played it once. I think we played your version, and then Dom got the big box version of this with like all the expansions.
Yeah, I think so. I have Granada, which is effectively the same game, um, and they made another version called New York. But yeah, exactly. You lay out the tiles, um, and you take money cards. There's four different currencies in the game. There's red, green, yellow, and blue, and you're taking money cards from, like kind of Ticket to Ride style, whatever are available. If you can take any combination of them that are less than four money, or you could take any one card that's higher than that. So, for example, if there was a two and two ones, I could take all three of those. And then from those, you have a certain amount that you have to pay per tile, but then the amount that you have to pay, or which currency you have to pay, changes for the game. I think it's really neat. I enjoy this game a lot. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much when I first bought it, but I'm now a believer. I think this is really just a phenomenal game. Maybe it's just that I like
So
tile laying.
for me, this game got on my radar because of the show Tabletop.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games that I play nowadays is because of that show. And this is one that's on my radar. I do want to pick it up eventually. I just haven't. But I'm glad I played it.
Yeah. Exactly. You've got it off your list. All right. Another big boy. Let's look at this one. Ticket to Ride.
Oh boy. This is probably top. This now has replaced El Grande as my favorite game on the list we've talked about so far. What is there to say about Ticket to Ride that hasn't been said? I love this game. This is, if I remember correctly, your wife's favorite game.
It's up there. Now might be Space Base. Uh,
Except for last night.
except for last night where she raged quit. That was amazing. Uh, it wasn't really a full out rage quit. I'll tell the story later, but yeah. I mean this was absolutely, this is one of the first games that really got me into modern gaming.
I don't own this version. I own the European version. I like that one a little bit better just because of the tunnels and the uh, I forget what they're called, but the where you can hijack someone's line to finish your route.
Oh yeah, stations, something like that.
Stations, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing about Ticket to Ride, the way it works is that you have train cars that you're just trying to put onto the board. The longer the route, the more cards you'll need, but the more points it's worth.
Yeah.
So it's anywhere from 1 to 6 in the base version, spaces long, and you need to trade in the appropriate colors. So if it's 6 white spaces, you have to trade in 6 white train cards to put your trains on the track. And then also on top of that, you're trying to connect certain cities for different routes to get bonus points at the end of the game.
Also want to mention something that's very important to me in this. This is one of the first games I played that was colorblind friendly.
Yes.
If you cannot see the color, each color has their own specific shape. Circle, crosses, squares, diamonds, that sort of stuff. So if I can't see the orange because it looks a little too red for me, or the green and red because I'm red-green colorblind, they each had their own individual shape to them, so I'd still be able to make my sets and put them on the map.
Yep. Yeah, they really took a lot of care. And I think this was really one of the first games that Days of Wonder really hit it out of the park with.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made a lot of games before and after, but this was the first one that everybody was kind of like, whoa, what is this company? Look at this components.
And so we mentioned it with Catan, and we mentioned it with Carcassonne. This one was another massive award winner. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nominations and or wins in 2004 alone. Then you go into 2005 with another 8 nominations and wins. 2006, it's got another 1, 2, 3, 4. 2008 and then 2010. So it was just a phenomenal game that just took the world by storm.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's incredibly simple too. Like that's what makes it so neat.
So Ticket to Ride is what people equate to as the gateway game for gamers. This is the one of the games that you will show to people who's never played board games before.
Yeah.
Because it's so simple to play, it's so easy, and there is a little bit of cutthroatness when you're blocking other people's routes and stuff like that, but it's not that bad. Except for unless you play with my wife, who just is the queen of Ticket to Ride. Every time I played with her, she just somehow gets where she's got to go to Los Angeles to Miami, but instead of going through the south route where everybody can see what she's doing, she just takes like that northern route, goes all the way across, takes the cards that she needs, and then ends up all the way from LA to New York down to Miami. And it's like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I've never had to go from LA to Miami through St. Petersburg.
Her 2 tickets, I remember the first time I ever played this with her, was Los Angeles to New York, and then New York to Miami. So she just went, I'm just going to go the north route and just connect everything.
Yeah. Why not, right? And she probably got longest route, too. Yep. That's how it always works in this game. Yeah, I adore this game a lot. I think it's absolutely awesome.
You have the anniversary edition, right? The really, really nice one.
I do. I have the 10th anniversary version with like custom trains, and yeah, it's quite gorgeous. The only thing is the trains are too big for every expansion map, so I've since gotten Ticket to Ride Europe, so that way I can play expansion maps if I end up getting them again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have Europe. In fact, that was a free game to me. Someone just decided they didn't want to keep it anymore, so they gave it to me.
Well, good for you. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
And it was one of the first games I owned because of that.
Really? Oh, so it was before you really started getting heavily into games, huh?
Yeah, so I had maybe like 5 board games, maybe a little bit more. And then they're like, hey, we're not going to play this. Do you want it? Sure.
Yeah, why not? We'll give it a shot, see if it's any fun. Joke's on them. No.
Still have it. It's right over here. You can't see it, but it's in my Days of Wonder area.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's go on to the next one. Niagara.
I know nothing about this next one.
Okay. So Niagara has some really neat pieces on it, first off, that you're going to notice. The pieces on here have big plastic discs that are transparent, and the board...
Cool.
What's that?
The canoes look cool.
Yeah, the canoes look cool. And then the board actually sits atop the 2 boxes, the box lid and the box bottom, and then create a waterfall. Because what happens is as you push the water along, they're eventually going to spill over and fall off the waterfall. The idea is that you want to move your boat closer to the waterfall to get different colored gems and bring them back to your camp and collect them. The farther down you go, the more points they're worth, but then it's also that much harder and more dangerous to get back to your camp. What makes it happen is that everybody chooses a tile that I think are numbered from like 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, and you all play them simultaneously, and that also determines what turn order you go in, I believe. However, whoever plays, I think, the lowest number moves the river that number of spaces. So it's a whole bunch of shenanigans. It's super overproduced. It works pretty well. I do like it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, but I do like it.
So, interesting thing about this game, 2005 Deutscher Spiel Prize Best Family Adult Game, second place. 2005 Japan Board Game Prize Best Foreign Game for Beginners. 2005 Mensa Select winner.
Ooh.
2005 the Netherlands Speil Des Jahres nominee. The 2005 Spiel Des Jahres winner and nominee. The 2006 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game nominee, as well as the Golden Geek Best Kids Board Game nomination, and the 2008 Eric Spiel Best Family Game winner.
Wow. There you go. All right.
Ready?
So that's Niagara. Yep. Next one, Turning Taxis. So this is the most recent one out of all of these that I don't own. I almost
this
bought
is
it.
about the German Postal Service.
The German Postal Service. First off, Andreas Seefarth and his wife Karen Seefarth. So there you go, Puerto Rico status here. Michael Menzel art. So it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and read the description on this one?
In Turning Taxis, players build post office routes across Bavaria in regions around, collecting bonuses in various ways. The board shows a map of all the cities, with roads leading from each one to some of its neighbors. There are various colored regions around the board, most with 2 or 3 cities, and a large region with all Bavarian cities in the center. Players build postal routes from city to city to city, so that each city is adjacent to the next city on the route, and there is a road connecting these 2 cities. Each route must consist of at least 3 cities. Players may build only one route at a time. Routes are represented by melding city cards and ranged in the order of the route. Players start with a supply of 20 post offices in their color, a carriage house card, and a player aid card. The board is populated with bonus tiles, carriage cards, and city cards. On a turn, a player will draw a card from a display of 6 face-up city cards in the top of the face-down deck, and meld one card, either starting a new route or adding to a current one. If, after adding to the route, the length of the route is at least 3 cities, the player may declare it finish and score it. The player may, depending on the length of the route, which cities are in the route, place post offices in the cities, collect bonus tiles, and acquire a higher value carriage. Optionally, the player may receive support from one postal official in the form of drawing a second card, melding a second card, refreshing the 6 city card display, or acquiring a higher value carriage than the route length when finishing a route. Once a route is scored, the city cards of that route are discarded, and the player begins a new route on his next turn. When a player exhausts his supply of post office or acquiring a value of 7 carriages, the end of the game is triggered. Players continue until the player who is last in turn order finishes his turn, and the game ends. Players score points for the highest value carriage and bonus tiles, and lose points for unplaced post offices. The player with the most points wins. The fact that you must add at least 1 city to your route each turn or lose the whole route gives the game an enjoyable planning element.
There you go.
If that doesn't say dry Euro, I don't know what else does.
So what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I've heard about this game. A lot of people have talked about it. Dice Tower's talked about it. I've heard it in other podcasts. This is a hit or miss game. Some people really, really love it. Some people really, really hate it. There's no in-between, really, with this game. So I actually am willing to try it, but I don't know where I'm going to land in that process. Am I going to really, really like it, or am I going to really, really hate it?
Yeah. You're just assuming either way. It's like, well, it could be good.
Well, there's people there. I have everything I've heard about this game. There has not been someone in the middle saying, it's okay. It's either like this game sucks or this game's really cool.
Which one do you think I would think it is?
It's dry, themeless Euro. You'll probably be in the nomination of it's really, really good.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So actually, this one has got a lot of nominations and wins. So I'm not going to go through them all. Of course, it won the 2006 Spiel Des Jahres, but Just some highlights. It was the 2006 Golden Geek Best Game or Board Game nomination and Family Board Game, as well as a 2007 Best Family Board Game for the Golden Geek. And come to find out that we've looked into this, the Jota Best Two-Player Board Game nominee, Jota Best Light Board Game nominee, as well as the Light Board Game winner of 2008 for the Jota, which is the Brazilian Gaming Awards.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm very excited to try this eventually when I'm able to get a copy. They're just so rare right now. Who knew? All right, on to our next one.
German Postal Service. I mean, come on.
German Postal Service, exactly. It doesn't get more exciting than that. 2007 Zoo 2007 Spiel Des Jahres winner. Zoo is a game where you are trying to basically collect sets of types of animals. The more you get of a certain one, the more they'll generally be worth, except you have to put them in pens. You cannot cross different types of animals in the same pen, and only if you fill it or have one shy of filling it do you get points for it. There's also male and female ones, so you can breed and get baby ones, or babies of whichever animal they are. And that's essentially how each player plays their board. What makes it interesting is that there is a number of trucks available to all the players. And your turn is simply take a tile and add it to one of the truck of your choice, or take a truck. So, of course you want to wait longer so you'll get more stuff, but at the same time, you also don't want to have it where you don't get to get some of the tiles, or you miss out on something that you could have had earlier. I consider this similar to, in a way, like a bidding version of like the Prisoner's Dilemma. It's most beneficial to us if we all waited, but there's no guarantee I'm gonna. If I want this panda bear really bad, I might take a truck with nothing on it. With
Especially if you're like, hey, he's going for pandas too. Maybe I want to take these just now.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a board game version of Coloretto, which Coloretto is effectively that mechanism with cards, and you're just trying to get sets of different colored cards.
Yep. And so just for people to know, there's also Zularetto Duel as well as Zularetto Junior, if I remember correctly.
Yep. All right, do you want to go over the awards?
Yeah, see, I'm just going to go highlights again. 2007 Australia Game Association Game of the Year. A nominee and win for the 2007 Board Game Geeks Children's Board Game of the Year, as well as the Best Family Board Game in 2007. The Spiel Des Jahres, a nomination in 2007 as well as the Board Game Australia Awards Best International Game nomination, and the Jota Best Children's Board Game winner in 2008.
Very cool. On to our next one, Celtis, which you have technically played.
Oh, yes, I have. I remember this one.
Yeah, this is... so you've played Lost Cities, the board game.
The board game, yeah.
Which, technically, there is one difference between them. My watch went off. Sorry about that. There is technically one difference between them. Other than, like, the aesthetics and the layout, is that in Celtis, you can play either in ascending or descending order, as long as you stay in that order no matter what. So the second card determines that. In Lost Cities, the board game, like the card game, you only go in ascending order. However, in Lost Cities, the board game, there is a variant where you can play in descending order. So it's effectively the same game, more or less.
Alrighty, so it's 2008 Japan Board Game Prize Voters Selection nominee, the Spiel Des Jahres nominee and winner 2008, the 2009 Erit Spiel Best Family Game nomination, the 2009 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game nominee, the 2009 Golden Ludo nominee, as well as the 2011 Hungarian Board Game Award nominee.
What did you think of this one?
It was okay. Again, I'm not the biggest Knizia fan. There are some games that I like of his that I've played, and there's some that are okay to me. Lost City, the board game, was just kind of okay. I did enjoy Blue Moon City. We just played another one. I can't remember what it was. I'm actually intrigued with his most recent nomination that we'll talk about in a little bit, My City, because of the legacy aspect of it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I enjoy this one a lot, but I've also like Lost Cities, the card game and the board game version of it. So yeah, this was a shoo-in for me. Dominion. Here we go. The Mac
Oh boy, we're
the,
gonna be here a while.
the Mac Daddy of deck builders. No, I will go quick on this. This was one of the first games that really implemented deck building as the mechanism. Give me one moment. I'm gonna take a very quick pause. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so Dominion, effectively, all Dominion is a deck builder where you are starting off with all the same 10 cards. You have a little bit of money and a little bit of estates for victory points. Using the 10 kingdom cards that are available to you that game, you're building it up, trying to build your deck to have the most victory points at the end of the game. You're making this strange gesture like you don't enjoy this game.
I'm not doing anything.
Uh
They
huh.
can't see me.
Well, okay, I could throw your picture on the screen here, but no, that I love this game. I get why people don't like that. There's no theme in it really at all.
No.
Um, I like the I like it. I don't care that there's no theme. Like here's all the cards. They look bland. This game legitimately was very nervous for me to buy, or I was very nervous when I bought it because at the time this had an MSRP of $45, which was not an insignificant amount of money. But before I got into the board gaming hobby, this was the first only card game I bought for that much money. It was scary.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm just,
Now you don't even blink an eye. You're like, it's only $45. It's a good game. It's only $45.
yeah. Now I've spent $45 plenty on plenty of misses as far as games go. But this was I'm very glad I liked it even half as much as I did. I this is as far as Spiel winners, this is definitely top 5 for me.
It's like bottom five for me.
Yeah, you really dislike it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not for what it is. I respect what it's done and what it created, but there's deck builders that I prefer.
Yeah.
Hands down over this. Ascension comes to mind. I mean, it didn't win a Spiel, but Ascension, Star Realms, Hero Realms, hell, Harry Potter, the Hogwarts battle, I prefer over this
Right. I get
because
that.
taste and theme.
It actually has Steam. What is this weird concept? I don't get it. All right. Do you want to go over the awards?
There's way too many here, but Meeple Choice Award in 2008, Origins Award Best Traditional Card Game winner, the Os d'Or de l'année nominee. Don't ask me what that means. I just read it. The Golden Geek Best Two-Player Board Game nominee, as well as card game, and won the 2009 Golden Geek Best Card Game. Was also nominated for the Best Family Board Game for the Golden Geek Best Gamers Board Game. Won the 2009 Golden Geek Board Game winner, and it was also the 2009 Golden Geek Most Innovative Board Game nomination. Didn't win that. So we also had some wins from the Japan Board Game Prize Voter Selection in 2009, as well as the Jota Best Card Game Audience Award, as well as Critic Award, and Best Card Game nominations for the Jotas. Let's see what it is. It was the 2009 Mensa Select winner, the Spiel Des Jahres in 2009. It was nominated in 2009 for the Trick Track. Won the 2009 Wooden Pelly Adult Game of the Year, the Eric Spiel Best Family Game in 2010, the 2010 Games Magazine Best New Family Strategy Game winner, and it was the Ludetka Ideal Official Selection in 2010.
Very cool.
And that's just the highlights.
Those are just the highlights. Yeah, I just counted them. 40 different nominations and/or wins. 40. That.
And now let's go to your least favorite Spiel des Jahres winner.
Yeah, yeah, probably Dixit. So, I mean, yeah, it. What Dixit is basically you have these beautiful art cards that the pieces are gorgeous on this, and as the storyteller, the player who's playing the card, you are trying to tell a story about it. Like we said earlier with Barbarossa, you want at the end of the turn, everybody will vote for a card that they think is the story that was told. So, for example, I might tell a story about this hand with the magnifying glass, and that would be a card from my hand. However, I would tell the story about it without anybody seeing the art. Then we would make every player would play a card that they think has to do with the story. We mix it up, and everybody votes for which one they think it is. You get points for everybody who votes for yours, and if you're the storyteller, you will get points only if not everyone votes for you. So if you made it super obvious and described, oh, it's a magnifying glass facing on a hand, then everybody's going to obviously pick that. And you don't get
Yeah.
points if everybody does. But if nobody does, same thing, you don't get points. So you have to be a fine line of vague to where some people will vote for yours. Also, if I'm not the storyteller, you want to put down a card that relates to the story, and hopefully
If
people will
yours
vote for
gets
yours.
picked, you get a point.
Yeah. So I mean, it's okay. But I'm not a fan of it. I've never enjoyed playing it personally. I'm not a storytelling gamer. Uh, and this, like, I mean, I understand why people don't like games without theme. This is forcing you to make up a theme and putting you on the spot to do it. I've never enjoyed that
So
personally.
I actually enjoy this game, not as much anymore. It's one of the first games I played getting into it. It was my gaming group. This was one of the first games that we played a lot of. However, there's a game that isn't on this list that replaces it for me because it put a game around this Dixit mechanic, and that's Mysterium.
Yeah,
I do enjoy the Dixit game. I have had fun with it. To me, it's a nice game to play when you're just trying to chill. If you're drinking and having a party and just hanging around the table, it's a fun game. So it actually got nominated and won a lot of awards in its own right. The Oste or Jewel de Ani winner in 2009. It got nominated in 4 categories of the Golden Geek. So, most innovative board game, best party game, best children's game, and board game artwork presentation. Let's see. It was a Trick Track nominee and got third place, so it won the bronze in that one. It's the Games Magazine's in 2010 Best Party New Game winner. New Party Game winner. The Hungarian Board Game Award winner. The Spiel Des Jahres winner, of course. The Voodoo Pele Family Game of the Year winner. And the Japan Board Game Prize Voters Selection nomination.
very cool.
So it held its own.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. It's held its own, and I get why people like it. I'm unfortunately not one of them.
And here comes my least favorite, really, on this track. This is the one
Quirkle.
that comes to mind that I do not like.
And I think the biggest reason why I don't care for it personally, but I think the reason you and I generally don't like this is because it's really not colorblind friendly.
It is not at all.
Yeah,
The purple looks too blue. The red and green just are not good shades for each other. The orange is ridiculous. It's basically pastel colors in a sense, so it's hard for us to pick up on the patterns.
right. And like this picture alone, it doesn't seem like it's that obvious, right? But
Yeah.
if you're colorblind, a game that
Go to
half
the
of the
first picture.
mechanisms, yeah, half of the mechanisms are the colors. Well, I mean that's a big factor when it comes to us.
Yeah.
Um, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to lay down tiles that match the shape and not the color, or vice versa, match the color and not the shape.
Yeah.
So it, I get it, but at the same time, I mean, this alone, like those three back to back, hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it hurts me a lot. The color in the middle, the diamonds, and then the circles aren't helping matters. Like the end circles are okay, but the middle is a little iffy. If it didn't have that one color splitting them, I can't even tell you what color it is. It could be purple, it could be blue. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's and that I think it's unfairly discounted by us. I feel like this is a game that you and I would probably enjoy playing quite a bit if it was visible for us. So
Yeah.
take that as you will as far as us reviewing it, but that's yeah, you and I both tend not to enjoy this too much.
So 2007 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game nomination, as well as Children's Board Game nomination. The 2007 Mensa Select winner. 2008 nomination for the Australian Awards Best International Game. The Spiel des Jahres winner, of course, in 2011. And that was its last win. The rest are just nominations.
Yep. All right. Let's head on to the next one. Not King Domino, sorry, Kingdom Builder. Kingdom Builder, which is the second Spiel win from Donald X. Vaccarino, who previously made Dominion. Have you played this one?
No, I have not. Oh, wait. I think I have. I think we have played this one. I don't think I was impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple game. You pick a single card from the deck that tells you what landscape you can place your buildings on.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, no, I didn't like it.
Yeah. Was it just boring?
Yeah. Boring and bland.
Boring and bland. I can understand that. I remember a lot of people... I heard a complaint that a lot of people were saying is that the big reason they didn't like it is because it's just you have no control. Because if you draw a desert tile, you have to put it in the desert area. That's it. But... I mean, I get that complaint, but at the same time, managing where you're building, I don't know. I think that's unfair.
There's not really a lot of management because it's random. I have to build at a certain area.
Yeah, I know, but like the way that you are able to build out your regions and getting points for those, I think it's better than most people give it credit for. I know I don't discredit your opinion, but
no,
whatever.
You're wrong again, Danny.
I think it was pretty good though. I did enjoy it. It's no Dominion, though.
2011-2012 Board Game Australia's Best International Game nomination. It won the 2012 Golden Geek Best Abstract winner. The Spiel des Jahres, of course, in 2012. It was a finalist for the Luis Passione, and the rest are nominations. So it only won twice.
Yep. And one of which was the Spiel.
The Spiel.
All right. Let's go on to the next one. Now, talk about a change of pace.
The most stressful game on this list.
Yeah, talk about a change of pace. It went from Euro game, managing resources, building victory points, doing all this, to cooperative stress.
Yeah, it's really what it is, cooperative stress. I like this game. I really enjoy this game. But my God, this gives me so much stress because you cannot talk. All you can tell someone is either these cards are blue or this is a number, a certain specific number. I don't see my deck. They see my deck. So basically, you get a hand of cards and you're playing them outwards. So you don't get all you see is the back of the card. So you don't know if they're red or blue, and you're trying to make these fireworks in successive numbers. And so when you're giving a clue to somebody, you take something, I think it's like a little chip out of the box, and when you run out, you can't give any more clues, so you have to start playing these cards, so you got to remember where everything is. I don't exactly remember how you get them back. I think it's if you make the fireworks all the way through.
No, if you discard a card, then you can get one of the information tokens.
And the thing is, the way this works, I think it's 1 through 5, if I remember correctly. Whereas there is a few 1s in the deck, but there's only 1 5 in the deck. So if you discard that 5, you're not going to be able to complete that set. And they're color coordinated. So you have your reds, your blues, your greens, your yellows. There is a wild deck in it. I do enjoy it, but oh my God, you can't say anything else. You can't talk. You got to try to control your facial features. When someone grabs a card, you're like, and you can't give them that interaction because they have to. You got to be as still as possible. It's one of the most quiet, stressful games you'll ever play.
Yeah, I this is probably my favorite from Antoine Bauza, which he's known for mainly like Euro games like Takenoko, Tokaido, stuff like that. But this one, hands down, I love this game. I can understand why some people dislike it because of the stress involved, but I want to buy the deluxe version of it, certainly.
So, awards that it won the 2013 Fair Play a la carte winner, as well as, of course, the Spiel des Jahres. The rest of it was nominations that did not win.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next. Camel Up, which this was a controversial pick when I remember hearing about this. And I think it was up against Splendor, and everybody thought Splendor was a shoo-in. Or I think this was the year. This was one of the 2 years that it happened, and I will look that up right now. Why don't, do you remember much of this?
Well, I know it's a racing game, but not in the sense where you're controlling who's racing. It's more about the betting part of it, where you're trying to bet on the camel you think is going to win, and based on that tower, certain things are going to happen and things are going to fall out. What I do like about this game is the stacking mechanism. So whatever camel is on top is actually leading. So you can have a stack of 4 camels. If they all finish, whoever's at the very tippity top of the camels wins the race. So if like the white piece is on top of the yellow and the blue piece, the white piece actually wins that race. So I do like that part of it, but the rest of it, I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, and you also don't like betting and all those
I'm okay with
mechanisms.
the betting. It's just, to me, I don't know why it won the Spiel. In all honesty, I'm not a big fan of Splendor either. And if this was the year Splendor would have gone up against it, I think Splendor should have won it rather than this game.
Yeah, this was up against Splendor and Concept were the two games.
I
So
would choose both of those games over this game.
yeah,
I understand why people like it, but it's not my style. If I'm going to do a racing game, I'm going to do something like Downforce, which does the kind of the same mechanism where you're betting. You have your cars that you're hoping would win, but you're also betting on other cars in that one. So, just not my style.
yeah, definitely. I do own this. I like it. My wife liked it a lot more than I did for sure. Um,
Yeah.
this was the first time I learned definitely don't buy her a board game for a present. Uh, she was not happy about it, but I've never been able to sell it because of that.
So, just to know how controversial this game was, the only award it was nominated for and won was the Spiel des Jahres. Everything else, it was just nominations. It didn't win.
Wow. Wow, that says something, huh?
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I'm looking at like the Board Game Quest Awards. It was Game of the Year, Best Family Game, and Most Innovative Game. It was a nomination. Golden Geeks, Best Family Board Game nomination. The Spiel des Jahres is the only one it actually won.
Wow. Well, there we go. That says it right there. Um, I don't hate this as much as a lot of people do, but I do understand it's not in the top 10 for as far as Spiel winners for me. But yeah, okay. Anyway, let's continue.
Let's move on. We got to get through this. We're almost there.
We're almost there. Colt Express. What do you think of this one?
I wanted to like it. I really did. I I sold my copy of it. Honestly, I had it. I played it. It was good. It was a nice little programming game, but it was too gimmicky, I guess you could say. The moving of the meatballs was a little clunky. I have big sausage fingers, so that doesn't help. Trying to get the program proper, it. I wanted to like it. I really wanted to enjoy it, and I just couldn't.
Yeah, I understand that. Have you heard of Colt Super Express?
I heard it's supposed to be a bigger version of this game.
It,
Unfortunately, I
it's not
didn't
a
like
bigger
the
version.
game style itself. So
Yeah, it's not a different version of, or it's not a bigger version. It's a non 3D version of it. It uses
that might be
just
helpful.
cards. It might be helpful, yeah. So I'll pull up a picture on the
Also, the
screen.
picture that you have up on there, I want to let people know the ends of it is just much of the most idiotic things I've ever seen, like the trees and stuff, like just for scenery. It's like, come on, does that really
Yeah,
need to be in there?
yeah. It's unnecessary. But so basically, the idea of this game works is you're trying to get the most treasure by being bandits, hijacking this train, staying away from the sheriff. Now, the way it works, though, is that you're going to be running around the train cars, shooting each other, punching each other, uh, you know, and picking up treasure for points. The player with the most money at the end of the game wins. So, and it comes with a really neat wooden or 3D train, which I think is awesome. Super gimmicky.
Cardboard, buddy. It's cardboard, not wood.
Yeah, yeah. It's cardboard, but I like the way it's built. It's actually built pretty fantastic considering it's cardboard. But
And
it
you can
does
put
have
it
a
away built.
function.
You don't have to take it apart. I did like that
Yes.
part.
Yeah. And there's a function to it. Like you're either on top of the train or in the train, which makes sense, because that's what you're doing in the thing. Now if it was just a 3D train just to be there, then that's unnecessary. But I do like how there's a function of it. let me show you that picture. Right here, I have a picture of the Super Express version, which, from what I understand, is quite simply just uh, a micro version of Colt Express. I don't know if you still play in turns or what, but there you go. That's what it looks like.
Meh.
Yeah,
Like I said, I wanted to like it, I just didn't.
yeah. I can
All right,
understand that.
we're down to the final 4 games in our list here.
All right, here we go. 2015 winner, Code Names. Man, did this one have a splash.
This one blew up, and it. We mentioned about how Catan is going the Monopoly route with all the rethemes. Codenames is right there with it. You got Marvel codenames, you got Disney codenames, you got Harry Potter codenames, you got adult codenames. There's just so many rethemes in this game.
Right. I like how under alternate names, Codenames XL plus 23 more. Yeah. This is an absolutely brilliant game. You put down a 5x5 grid of words. It comes with like 200 words in the box. And all you're trying to do is you're trying to get your
You can only get
teammate.
a one-word clue
Mm-hmm.
and a number. How
Yep.
many that clue represents.
Yeah, so if there was like, if I said the word living and three, that means that three of the cards pertain to living that I want you to guess. However, there might be 5 cards that actually are alive.
And you got
So,
to be careful. You don't want to get the other team a card of theirs, and you also don't want to hit the assassin.
exactly. If any one team guesses the assassin, they immediately lose.
And if the team has all their color choices, they win.
Yep.
So if you pick a red team's card, and so they get the point on it, making it easier for them to win because they already have something covered up.
Yeah. Did you notice, or did you know that yellow printed a version of Codenames?
No, I did not.
I didn't either. That's new to me. That's interesting. Anyway,
So we basically did. Oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
We basically described Codenames at its core, so let's go ahead and go through the nominations and wins. It won the 2015 Cardboard Republic Socializer Laurel, the 2015 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game, the 2015 Golden Geek Best Party Board Game, and let's see here, what else? It won the 2015 Meeple's Choice, the Golden Ludo Best Family Game, of course, the Spiel des Jahres,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's all its wins. But yeah, this hit, and it's still played today. It's not my favorite on the list. We're actually going to get to my favorite here in a little bit. But these last 4 games are some of the best Spiel des Jahres games, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really up there. All right, next one. King Domino won in 2016. Bruno Cathala, which I know you're quite a fan of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you like this or Queen Domino better?
I haven't actually played Queen Domino. I've only ever played King Domino.
Then we're gonna fix that.
I
So
heard Queen Domino's better. It's more gamey for gamers.
yes.
But this one is the gateway of the two, basically, because it's so simple.
Yep, pretty much. This is a very simple game. I like what it does. Each of the tiles have effectively a value by how good they can be. You put them in order, and you put one of your meeples on those tiles because you're going to be building a 5x5 grid of kingdom tiles. What at the end of the game, each of your territories that are adjacent, like you can see here, the water ones. There's 4 tiles that make up that space. You multiply it by the number of crowns, 2. That is worth 8 points. That's it. So if I was this player, the green player, I would pick up this tile, probably put it next to one of the other waters, and then I get to place it on one of these, which will be my bid for the next one. But you always go top down by who gets to choose first. So blue, pink, green, then yellow would play in that order, getting to pick first. So the earlier you go, technically the worse tile you get, but the earlier you can bid on the next turn. I think that's brilliant. I think that's a really smart mechanism.
I do enjoy it. Going through its awards, it won the 2017 Gioco del Anno winner. It was the 2017 Go to Ludo Best Family Game, and the Spiel des Jahres in 2017.
All right. Very good. 2018.
2017.
2017. Yeah,
Was it
2018.
2018? Yeah, it's 2018.
Yeah.
The Spiel always gets me confused because if it comes out later in 2017, it doesn't get nominated till 2018.
Right, exactly. But this is Azul. I was really surprised that when this came out. This was one of those instant buys for me.
I really enjoy this game, but it's funny. It's my second favorite in this line.
Second favorite in. Oh, right. As far as the Azul games,
Zoles, yeah.
you like Summer Pavilion better, don't you?
Yeah, I really enjoy Summer Pavilion. I enjoy Zool. Zool is a great game. I love the way it plays. I'll never own it because my wife doesn't like it.
Which is a shame because I think that this is one of, hands down, one of the best games on this list. It might be beating out uh, Ticket to Ride for me.
It doesn't beat out Ticket to Ride for me. And the reason why she doesn't like it is because her big gripe about it is once you figure out the pattern, even if you're playing on the other side, once you figure out the pattern, you're good to go and you'll dominate.
Yeah. Does she feel like she figured out the pattern and doesn't need to play it anymore, or does she
Yeah.
hate it when she plays against people who have quote unquote
No,
pro?
she figured out the pattern. She's like, we played a 3-player game against our mutual friend Dom, and he only beat her by like 8 points.
Oh, okay.
I got smoked by like 40 points because I was trying something different and I messed up on the pattern myself. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and we were playing the blank side. So she's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So we can look over on this picture here. You see how there's like two red tiles over here, two yellow over here. On your turn, you pick a single color, and you take all of the tiles from that location. So let's say I pick these two red, the teal and the blue go into the middle. Well, then the next player, they get to pick another grouping like the same, or they could pick from the middle, which then would have two teal. They might want to do that in order to pick it. So it creates another drafting location, which is why I think that the way it drafts and changes, I find really really a smart mechanism. And also, I think this is Michael Kiesling, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
who made this one. Yep, Michael
And
Kiesling.
I really enjoyed the drafting in this game.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
all of them.
Yeah, it's super smart the way it works. And then the third one has more combos, and the
Yeah.
second one I would say is more of like a heady like pre-planning one. So I can understand why people don't like that as much.
All right, so awards that it won. The 2017 Cardboard Republic Architect Laurel winner. The 2017 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game. The Os d'Or Jules de l'Année. The Deutscher Spiel Press Best Family Adult Game. The Goldbricken Best Adult Game. The Mensa Select in 2018. The 2018 Netherlands game, the Nederlandse Speelbres, Best Family Game winner. 2018 Origins Award, Best Family Game winner. The Spiel des Jahres of 2018. The 2018 Trick Track d'Argent. The 2019 UK Game Expo's Best Abstract Game Judges Award winner, as well as the Games People's Choice winner in 2019.
Very good. All right, 2019. Here's our last one that is won.
This one is my favorite Spiel des Jahres winner.
So why don't you describe it then?
Just One is an interesting take on a party game. You can play up to 7 people on this one. In fact, you can play more. What's cool about it is that you have a stack of cards. You play with 13 in a game, and you're trying to basically beat a high score. You're trying to get to a certain number. You want to get all 13, but you're not going to. And what's going to happen is when it's somebody's turn to be the target, I guess you can say, they pick a number 1 through 5. Out of those 5 words, they can say something like bread. That's what the card says. And so everybody else at the table, have to describe bread in just one word, clues, and they cannot match anybody else at the table. So if I had bread and someone said rye, and another person said toast, and another person said sourdough, and then, like, say 3 people say sourdough, sourdough's gone. So now all I have is toast and rye. Those are my choices out of this game. And it goes down so well. And then, so you have to make your guess. If you guess right, you get the card, and it's a point. If you pass, you just lose the card. However, if you guess wrong, you lose that card plus an additional card. So you got to be careful how you do your guesses.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just guess willy nilly. Um, I just noticed
What do
that
you think of this one?
Oh, I love this one. This one's so good. Um, I think I was as soon as I saw that it was nominated, I think I was the first person in town to buy a copy, and I heavily promoted it in our store because I think this is fantastic. This game just
Yeah,
goes
and I've
over
been
so
wanting
well every
to
time.
get a copy of it. I actually got it as a Christmas gift, and the big thing about it was hard to get when it got nominated.
Yeah,
It
it
was it
was.
literally flew off the shelves.
Yeah, and it wasn't available in the United States either, so you had to get an international version first.
Hmm.
Yeah, I noticed that it's re-implemented called "We Are the Word," or "We Are the Word." That must be another version of it. Um, yeah, I think this is a fantastic one. I'm glad this won.
So am I. I really enjoy this. This is there's some better games per se on the Spiel des Jahres list, but this is my favorite.
Yeah, yeah, this one holds its own for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a couple questions for you, Daniel, before we finish that off. That was our full list of this. The first question I have for you, out of the ones that are nominated this year, now looking back over all of those, we have Pictures, My City, and Nova Luna. Which one, if you had to take a guess, is going to be the winner?
So you got Rainer Knizia, Uwe Rosenberg, and some other dude.
Yeah, take the designers out of it. Like, don't even think of them as the designers. Think of it just by what you understand of the games. So Pictures works. You have like I think a 4x4 grid, and um, you are trying to draw these pictures in different ways. One person might have like 9 little color cubes that they're trying to put in the right way. One person might have a rope that they're trying to
So
draw it.
I have my pick. I would like my city to win. I just like the aspect of it being a legacy. But the way we've been seeing the Spiel des Jahres, especially in the last 5 years, we just went through it. I think it's going to be Pictures.
You think it's gonna be Pictures? Yeah,
Pictures
more
is the
party game.
simplest game out of the three, and they tend to go with the simplest game that does well. And I think it's going to be Pictures.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see this year. I don't know if they're going to depart to the simplicity of Pictures. My City is actually a very simple game. Um,
But
it's
because the
almost like a roll
legacy
and write.
aspect can make it a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, to a degree. Nova Luna is definitely the most complicated out of the three. Not saying it's complicated, but it's more. It's Nova Luna is similar to Azul in
Yeah.
how it works. I personally, if I just by what I understand of them, I have not played any of them. My vote would be probably Nova Luna.
So my vote is my city. I want that one to win. But again, the one I think will win is Pictures. Just by judging the last 5 years. Just One, King Domino, stuff like that. Codenames, the simple
Yeah,
game that hits the table a little bit more. I think Pictures, because of that aspect, how simple, because you're basically pictures, I think that one's going to win it.
that's fair. That's fair. I don't blame you. I'm curious to see which way it'll go. It's definitely a lot different than previous years. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, so my other question for you, Daniel, now that we've gone over this whole gamut of games, which is just an extreme amount, name your top three of which ones that you haven't played that you'd be wanting to try.
Oh, God, I don't remember them all.
Well, the ones that you forgot, then those are forgotten.
Oh, no, I forgot a lot of them. I guess I'll try Elfinland and Tikal, and I can't think of a third one.
Elfenland and Tikal? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is I have both of them, and we can bring them over as soon as we can.
Alrighty.
And we will definitely
So
try
with
those.
that, let's call it a day.
Uh-huh. Let's call it a day. Tune in on Wednesday for our Shits and Giggles episode.
Topic. Yep.
Yep. Where we are going to be talking about what makes a Kickstarter one you want to back.
And then on Friday, we will be doing another top 8 debate of which one did we do this year?
Dexterity games.
Dexterity games. So just an idea of what we're going to be going against. You have the number 1 seed Crokinole versus the number 8 seed Animal Upon Animal.
You have the number 2 seed Fuse versus the number 7 seed Loop and Louie.
You have the number 3 seed Tumbling Dice versus the number 6 seed Ice Cool.
And the number 4 seed Rhino Hero versus the number 5 seed Terra and Meeple City.
Tune in for that on Friday, where we go through the top 8 dexterity games. You can find us on After the Fact, especially for this part of the podcast, on YouTube at Everyday Board Games 2020, as well as you can find the podcast version of this if you're live on Twitch or on YouTube on Podbean for Everyday Board Games.
And also you can tune in on twitch.tv/everydayboardgames to watch us live and join in on the discussion. With that being said, I've been Daniel.
And Daniel.
And thank you very much for tuning in.
Have a good one.